Chapter 250. The show begins. It was early September. There were still more than 10 days left until the sex mission. Jiang Hao stood in front of the peach tree. The peaches had already grown, but they weren't ripe yet. He plucked a fruit and tasted it. It was sour but with a tinge of sweetness. I feel that the fruits will be extraordinarily sweet when they ripen this time. With each incarnation, the taste of the peaches improved. Jiang Hao activated his daily appraisal ability. He wanted to see how many spirit stones were needed this time. 14,700 spirit stones, it's a bit too much. Jiang Hao frowned. Although he had sold quite a few talismans, he only had around 10,300 spirit stones. He was still short of 4,000 spirit stones. If he paid 1,000 to the law enforcement hall, he would be short of 5,000 spirit stones for the incarnation. The rewards for the sex mission are better. Maybe I'll get around 300 spirit stones, it's still not enough. For Foundation Establishment Realm disciples, the rewards were usually a few hundred spirit stones. Golden Core Realm disciples would get around 1,000. Those in the Primordial Spirit Realm would get even more. However, nobody knew that he was in the Primordial Spirit Realm, and he couldn't tell anyone either. Recruiting disciples fetched him more spirit stones. Last time he received 3,000 spirit stones from the Cliff Master when he went for recruitment. That was the kind of payment someone in the Primordial Spirit Realm received. When the Corpse Realm flower bloomed, he received 5,000 spirit stones as a reward. He somehow needed to find a way to earn 4,000 more. He had no choice but to wait and see how things turned out. If he couldn't gather enough spirit stones, he would have to wait until next year. He walked to the corner of the courtyard where he had planted bamboo shoots. He had appraised them too. They were ordinary bamboo shoots and needed to be watered occasionally. There was a divine item and abundant spiritual energy at his place, so he didn't need to care for them too much. Master, I've noticed that the outside world is vast. Why don't you go out and explore? Asked the spirit beast as it hopped in front of Jiang Hao. I'll take you to even larger places in the future, Jiang Hao said with a smile. Will you go with me too, Master? Jiang Hao smiled but didn't answer the beast. He watered the heavenly fragrance Dao flower and left the house. He turned back and said to the beast, You'll be a golden core demon soon. The rabbit, who was about to reach the peak of the Foundation Establishment Realm, was indeed getting closer to the golden core realm. Master, you're joking. I'm just an ordinary demon. Jiang Hao headed to the spirit herb garden. On the way he ran into Miao Tinglian. Junior brother Jiang, I have something to discuss with you, she said. What is it, senior sister Miao? Jiang Hao was puzzled. As far as he knew, the corpse realm flower should be fine now. I wanted to give you something. She handed Jiang Hao 2,000 spirit stones. What's this for? Jiang Hao asked in surprise. 2,000 spirit stones were not a small amount. Why would she suddenly give him so many spirit stones? It would normally take him a lot of time to earn that much. If he only relied on the sex resources, it would take him 5 years to earn that much. This too, said Miao Tinglian as she handed him some pills. Jiang Hao was astonished. Heavenly revitalizing pill. Yes, I had Mu Qi especially prepare those for you. I thought you might need it, she said. I would have given you more spirit stones, but having pills is safer. Jiang Hao was baffled. Why was she giving him spirit stones? It's because of the corpse realm flower, said Miao Tinglian. You told me how and where to transplant them to keep them alive. So many disciples now approach me to ask about it. I took a hefty sum from them. So, I wanted to give a fair share of it to you, junior brother Jiang. Oh, Jiang Hao hesitated. Can I exchange them for spirit stones instead? Miao Tinglian was speechless. The current market price for the pill in the sect is 4,000, but I'll give you 5,000 spirit stones, she said. Miao Tinglian hesitated. Junior brother Jiang, don't let anyone know that you earned so many spirit stones. It might be dangerous for a Foundation Establishment Realm cultivator to carry around so many spirit stones. You might be attacked, or worse. You better spend them soon. Thank you for the warning, senior sister Miao. Jiang Hao nodded gratefully. He also knew that it was not safe to have too many spirit stones as a late Foundation Establishment Realm cultivator. It was just as well that not many people knew his master had given him 5,000 spirit stones. Many people would be envious. Jiang Hao sighed in relief as he received 5,000 spirit stones from Miao Tinglian. In total, he received 7,000 spirit stones from Miao Tinglian. After deducting the 4,000 that he needed for the peach tree from the spirit stones he just received, He would have 3,000 left. He could pay 1,000 spirit stones to the law enforcement hall and still have 2,000 left. He could use that to buy more talisman-making materials. It would be safer that way. It was already mid-September when Jiang Hao finally went to the law enforcement hall. This time he met Lu Xingqian, but there was a difference in his aura from before. His aura was an amalgamation of a dark aura and the aura of a dragon. The remnants of a true dragon's soul and the sorcerer's soul seemed to be teaming up. "Hello, junior brother Jiang. I heard you specifically requested the sex mission?" said Lu Xingqian. "Yes." Jiang Hao nodded. He activated the daily appraisal on Lu Xingqian. Jiang Hao didn't know what Lu Xingqian was thinking, but he knew that Lu Xingqian was extremely confident in his abilities. Wasn't he afraid of causing trouble? Perhaps that was the arrogance of a true disciple. If the remnants of the true dragon's soul and the sorcerer's soul knew that Lu Xingqian was aware of their plan, Jiang Hao didn't know what they would do. Jiang Hao had no way of knowing what kind of mortal threat they sensed. It was fascinating that Lu Xingqian was trying something like that. However, the latter information worried him a bit. Du Yang's death had been investigated, but no one had approached Jiang Hao to question him yet. Was it because he died outside the sect? "I heard that there will be another junior next year who will be going for the recruitment missions," said Lu Xingqian. "There goes my opportunity to earn 3,000 spirit stones." Jiang Hao sighed inwardly. "By the way, junior brother Jiang, do you remember Du Yong?" Lu Xingqian suddenly asked. "I remember. He used to come to the Cliff of Broken Hearts often to see the spirit herb garden," Jiang Hao said calmly. "We investigated and found out that he was an undercover agent, or rather he was replaced by a spy to keep an eye on the sect. He was killed outside the sect not so long ago," said Lu Xingqian. "We are searching for the main body of the person who used him as a clone and a spy. We haven't found them yet. You were quite close to Du Yong, so you are obviously placed under observation." After talking for a while, Lu Xingqian bid farewell and headed to the mines. "I'll get going now. I have important matters to attend to." Jiang Hao suspected that the important matter was to find another remnant soul in his body for possession. He was both shocked and impressed by Lu Xingqian. However, Du Yang's case made him somewhat concerned. Chapter 251. Did I make you wait? The law enforcement hall is investigating the death of Du Yong. In theory, it should be impossible to find any evidence against him, so Jiang Hao had nothing to worry about. Otherwise, he would have been taken into custody already. The worst-case scenario was that he would remain on their suspect list. Jiang Hao didn't mind. His freedom was restricted, but he was nowhere near as strong as the person from the Heavenly Joy Pavilion. If Jiang Hao was able to surpass that person in strength and power, perhaps he could also solve the matter with the Heavenly Saint sect and Sunset Immortal sect. Also, Zhuang Yuzhen must not be allowed to escape. If he did, the Divine Corpse sect would surely regard Jiang Hao as an enemy. If that happened, even the Heavenly Note sect might not be able to stop them. After a short while, Jiang Hao arrived at the place where they were supposed to meet for the mission. This mission involved 10 people from 8 branches of the sect. There were 5 men and 5 women in total. 3 men and 1 woman had already arrived by the time he reached the place. The men were in the late stage of the Foundation Establishment realm, and the woman was in the middle stage of the Foundation Establishment realm. Jiang Hao greeted them and stood at the side. The people were rather cold toward him. They neither acknowledged him nor greeted him back. Jiang Hao didn't know why they were acting that way. He secretly observed the people's aura, spiritual energy, and behavior. He did that to determine whether they were hiding their cultivation like he was. 3 more people arrived. 2 were still not here. "Why haven't the 2 from the Ice Moon Valley arrived yet?" said a man from the flowing waterfall. "Maybe something delayed them." "Let's wait a little longer," said a woman from Misty Cloud Peak. The others remained quiet. The 2 remaining people still didn't come. "We can't wait anymore. Let's go," said a frail man from the Candlelight Pill Pavilion. "Let's just wait a little longer. We still have time," said a woman from the Heavenly Joy Pavilion. Jiang Hao didn't say anything but waited with the others. Most of these people were in the late stage of the Foundation Establishment realm. Only one was at the peak of the Foundation Establishment realm. That was Wen Qi from the Flowing Waterfall, who had spoken before. Among Tianyi to men, there was no one in Tianyi middle stage OT Tianyi Foundation Establishment realm. Among the women, only one was in the middle stage and was from the Candlelight Pill Pavilion. It seemed that she was also an alchemist. Apart from these, Jiang Hao also noticed something. These people carried spiritual energy that other cultivators didn't have, and they were all young. He used daily appraisal on one of them and found out that they were all very talented disciples. This was a team of geniuses. If he hadn't been given the mission, Han Ming would have been the one accompanying them. He was a true disciple, unlike Jiang Hao. It is no wonder they were cold toward me. They are all extraordinarily talented. After a while, 2 women from the Ice Moon Valley finally arrived. They were dressed in white, with their hair tied up in simple buns. They walked over to the group while talking and laughing with each other. Wen Qi was displeased when he saw them being so tardy and without any remorse. "Do you know that you're late?" "So?" One of the women, the tall and slender one, glared at Wen Qi. "Did it kill you to wait a few minutes longer? No one else, except you, seems to have a problem with it." "That's right. Did we ask you to wait for us?" said the other woman. "If you had a problem with waiting, you could have gone on ahead without us." "You?" When she was enraged. An aura surged forth from him. "Just at the peak of the Foundation establishment realm and you show this much attitude?" said the tall woman from the Ice Moon Valley. She stepped forward and released her aura. She was also at the peak of the Foundation establishment realm. "Let's go." When Qi left on his flying sword. Others followed suit. Jiang Hao was at the very back. He didn't care about these people. He knew they would never pay any attention to him since he was only in the late stage of the Foundation establishment realm in their eyes. Besides, his talent wasn't as high as theirs. So, they naturally ignored him. However, the last 2 women who had arrived were very easily offended. The tall one was Yi Shan and the other was called Wan Shi. They both had extraordinary talent, but they were still inner sect disciples. They hadn't yet been promoted to true disciples. In fact, if Han Ming had come, he would have been the only true disciple here. However, judging from their aura and spirit, they were not on the same level as Han Ming. Han Ming had gone through it all. He ventured out of the sect in search of adventure. He had faced life and death. He even made remarkable contributions during the fight with Azure Mountain. Han Ming never stopped improving himself. He was full of determination and perseverance. He had experienced more than anyone else in the sect. In terms of their aura and spirit, they weren't as refined and strong as Han Ming. Jiang Hao realized how exceptional Han Ming actually was. He had exemplary talent and numerous resources and opportunities, yet he still put in the effort to improve. After a short while, they reached Spirit Mountain. The one who received them was a senior in the Golden Core realm. He appeared dissatisfied as he stared at the group that had just arrived. However, he didn't say anything and told them to follow him. "This is not good." A senior was waiting. Just because the 2 from the Ice Moon Valley were late, now the senior thinks we are all disrespectful. When they reached the mountaintop, the senior stood in front of the spirit field and faced them. "There are 3 types of spirit herbs here. They are divided into 10 areas. Your task is to cultivate these spirit herbs with all your effort and make them grow. The duration of this mission is 3 months. You must be present here every day for these 3 months. Otherwise, you can head to the law enforcement hall with your excuses and accept your punishment. Now, come forward one by one and take this manual from me." Yi Shan from the Ice Moon Valley was the first to walk up to him. She accepted the manual. When she was next, the others walked up to the senior, one after the other, and took a copy of the manual. Jiang Hao was the last one to approach. He approached the senior, accepted the manual, and offered him a spirit stone under the book. "I apologize for keeping you waiting, senior brother," said Jiang Hao apologetically. The senior in the Golden Core realm was momentarily stunned, but he discreetly accepted the spirit stone. A small booklet was secretly handed to Jiang Hao beneath the manual. Jiang Hao was delighted. He thanked the senior. "Now your mission officially begins." The senior then flew away on his flying sword. The group of people started searching for their respective spirit fields. The spirit field was divided into 10 portions, so everyone would be next to one another. Jiang Hao found his portion right at the end. There were a total of 9 spirit herbs there. 3 of them had grown tall and lush. The other 3 were coiled around each other and were about 2 meters long. The last 3 were the most ordinary herbs. They looked like white flowers and were the size of a person's palm. "I've never seen this before." Jiang Hao checked the surroundings. He wasn't in a rush to find a trace of Bai Yi yet. He opened the manual to determine his task. He had to complete the task first before proceeding to other matters. Jiang Hao learned the names of the 3 types of spirit herbs from the book. It was all recorded in the manual. But that was all there was. There was no other information. While others were still contemplating how to cultivate the spirit herbs, Jiang Hao opened the small booklet the senior had secretly handed him. After flipping through it, Jiang Hao understood his mission and also learned about some characteristics of the spirit herbs. He needed to nourish the herbs with spiritual energy, determine the influence of talent on specific spirit herbs, and then decide whether it was better to cultivate important herbs together to increase the chance of success. After looking at the small booklet, Jiang Hao could only think of Bai Yi. Bai Yi was indeed a genius when it came to understanding spirit herbs. He couldn't let Bai Yi become one of the top 10 disciples. If that happened, he couldn't take any action against him. He would become even more terrifying. Chapter 252, If he can, why can't you? A talented person like Bai Yi was probably rare even in the 100 Bones forest. The book resembled Bai Ye's style from every perspective. Unless Bai Ye's master is also considered such a genius among such strong individuals. He couldn't figure out who had issued the mission. He felt like he was a test subject. Regardless, he couldn't refuse the mission from the sect. Jiang Hao didn't mind the mission. As long as no one provoked him, everything would be fine. If he succeeded in this, the number of people keeping an eye on him would decrease. Jiang Hao confirmed the names and characteristics of the spirit herbs. The tall spirit herb was called bright sun grass. It needed to face the sun to grow well. Jiang Hao looked at it and found that the position of the 3 bright sun grasses was unsuitable. So he moved them to face the sun. Their positions needed to be changed twice a day. Once in the morning and once in the afternoon. The spirit herbs that were entwined together were called the Bodhi flowers. They bore fruits and their roots coiled around nearby plants. Jiang Hao surrounded it in a circle so that the herb could grow without taking up much space. The last type of spirit herb was called white spirit flower. The spirit herb thrived well on moist grounds. It needed constant watering. After completing the tasks, Jiang Hao sat down and began to cultivate. He infused spiritual energy into the soil. This way he could synchronize the growth of the herbs with his own strength. However, the purity of the spiritual energy would directly affect the quality of the herbs. Jiang Hao was not worried about his pure spiritual energy being discovered. He didn't need to be cautious to that extent. He didn't fear the people below him on the cultivation level, and those stronger than him didn't have a reason to fear him anyway. Only people between these 2 levels would target him. However, the ones here in the group posed no threat to him. Occasionally they might cause him some trouble, but that was okay. He glanced at the others. Most of them weren't very good at cultivating spirit herbs. The 2 individuals from the Candlelight Pill Pavilion were carefully studying the spirit herbs. Jiang Hao paid no attention to them and focused on his meditation. When the spirit herbs matured, he would be allowed to take away 3, one of each kind. Perhaps they would be worth several hundred spirit stones in the market. It was a difficult task. If the spirit herbs failed to mature in 3 months, he wouldn't be allowed to take any of them with him. It would also mean that the mission would be considered a failure. In the afternoon, Jiang Hao, who was meditating, was awakened by an argument. "What does your withered flower have to do with me?" said Wen Qi. Jiang Hao looked over at them. He saw that Yi Shan from the Ice Moon Valley was confronting Wen Qi about something. "You're not at fault? Do you not see that my flower needs sunlight, but your stupid grass is blocking everything?" Yi Shan berated him loudly. "Am I to blame if your flower withers? Did I complain to you when my flower was withering?" said Wen Qi. "This is ridiculous," Yi Shan said. "What does your withered flower have to do with me? I ask you the same question. It's not my fault if your flower withers. Your grass is blocking my flower. Can't you move it back just a bit?" Yi Shan sneered. "How can I move it? The grass was planted here from the beginning," said Wen Qi as he pointed at the field next to Jiang Hao. "Just see for yourself. It's not blocking anything, and yet the flower is withering." "That's just stupid," Yi Shan scoffed. "If he can move it, why can't you? You still think you're special?" Wen Qi felt like he couldn't breathe properly in his rage. His aura surged violently as if he was about to attack. Yi Shan showed no weakness and emitted a similar aura. Jiang Hao listened to their argument and sighed inwardly. It seemed it was impossible to avoid trouble. "That's right. If he can move his spirit herb, why can't you?" asked Wen Qi. Wen Qi furrowed his brows in frustration. The others had the same question. If Jiang Hao backed off from this, he would be treated like an outcast. However, if he agreed with them, Wen Qi would suffer. Their gazes toward Jiang Hao turned unfriendly. Jiang Hao was stunned. He hadn't done anything to anyone, and yet these people were causing trouble. He was just an innocent bystander. He hadn't even talked to them much. He felt that the exceptional talents of the two women from the Ice Moon Valley were simply a waste when it came to them. Their temperament and attitude would get them killed sooner or later. Their childish bickering was going to affect him too. Jiang Hao didn't say anything. He remained quiet and left Spirit Mountain late at night to return to his house. He then focused on reading the Nameless Manual. He also set aside some time to refine the third move of the Heavenly Blade. He had made great progress. Coming back from visiting Xiao Li's parents had opened his mind. His understanding of the light and dust technique became even more profound. After 3 days, Jiang Hao constantly saw the three people arguing over petty matters while he cultivated in silence. On the 7th day, the spirit herbs of the others had started withering, but Jiang Hao's herbs remained fresh. Surprisingly, not a single person inquired about it. It seemed that these people genuinely looked down on Jiang Hao, a disciple with above-average talent. Even if their mission failed, they wouldn't lower themselves to ask for help from someone like him. Jiang Hao didn't pay them any attention. It wasn't until the 10th day that they finally made a breakthrough. They visited the senior in the Golden Core realm. Yi Shan kept cursing under her breath. Jiang Hao didn't know how much they had paid for the booklet, but they had gotten it too. It seemed that the price was quite high. Jiang Hao wondered why they had acted that way if they knew it would be difficult. If they had been respectful, 1 spirit stone would have sufficed. Not only were they late, but they also didn't apologize for making the senior wait. Didn't they think it would leave a bad impression on the senior? It was a big deal, and yet these people treated it so lightly. Sometimes, a little bit of goodwill can make a person feel much better, and they would be more willing to help. It was just a matter of attitude. Do they think they have to be rude and fierce all the time just because they are from the demonic sect? If that was the case, Jiang Hao truly felt sorry for these people. They had exemplary talents, so they looked down on everyone. On the 15th day, when Wanshi was watering the white spirit flower, some of it splashed onto Jiang Hao's side of the field. Junior brother, the water spilled a little to your side. Shouldn't be a problem, right? Jiang Hao shook his head. He didn't mind. On the 18th day, Wanshi deliberately splashed some more water toward his side. This spirit herb needs a lot of water, so I am trying to water it a lot. Jiang Hao still didn't say anything. He had no intention to engage with them. However, his silence caused a commotion for others. Yi Shan pointed to Jiang Hao. Look at him. If he can endure it silently, why can't you? Are you all inferior to that above-average disciple when it comes to tolerance? The worst among you has superior talent. What a waste. The others were indignant. They were angry and wanted to take action but seemed unsure. Jiang Hao glanced at them and closed his eyes to continue his cultivation. Chapter 253, Defeat. As time passed, the conflicts among the others escalated. It seemed like they would start fighting at any moment. Jiang Hao sat in front of the spirit field and watched quietly. He didn't know whether the senior across from him really didn't take him seriously or was just annoyed by his calmness. When the 2nd month arrived, she watered the white spirit flower and approached his bright sun grass. If she strayed a bit further away, Jiang Hao wouldn't have minded. However, the bright sun grass was of the fire element. If she watered it any closer, it would affect the growth of his spirit herb. Senior sister, I would be grateful if you could be careful with the water. It's just a little splash. It's fine, said Wanshi. Besides, the bright sun grass isn't that delicate. Senior sister, it's not just a little. Jiang Hao walked to the bright sun grass and pointed at the boundary. You've crossed the boundary quite a bit. I even moved the spirit herb back a bit. Otherwise, your water would have drowned my spirit herb. Wanshi walked over to him. Then why don't you move it back further? You still have plenty of space, right? Why do I need to move it further? If you could just water your own field and not cross the boundary, it'll be fine. No one else has any objections. Why do you have so many? Everyone is doing the same. No one seems to mind except you. She pointed at Jiang Hao's white spirit flower. You also water that flower. I never stop you, do I? Senior sister, the water that splashes in my boundary is affecting the growth of my bright sun grass, said Jiang Hao. I've been careful, haven't I? What more do you want from me? Wanshi glared at Jiang Hao. Jiang Hao stared at the person in front of him calmly. He didn't understand if she was doing this intentionally or if this was her nature. Senior sister, can we talk in private? Jiang Hao asked. What do you mean? Just say what you have to say right here, Wan Shi said. Yishan smirked. Yeah. If you want to solve this with spirit stones, you can give them to her right here. Why sneak around? They already knew that Jiang Hao was able to grow his spirit herbs because he had slipped spirit stones to the senior on the first encounter. Jiang Hao glanced at the people around him. He didn't know how it had come to this. He had always remained silent and done his own thing, yet he seemed to have offended everyone. He guessed he couldn't really fit in anywhere. Jiang Hao didn't think much about it. He looked at Wan Shi. Senior sister, I'll be very grateful if you could just water on your own field and not splash the water on my side. Are you done nagging? Wan Shi glared at Jiang Hao. I already said clang. A long saber unsheathed from its sheath and slashed down. Wan Shi didn't even know what had happened until blood spurted from her neck. When she was about to attack Jiang Hao, a long spear stabbed her through her stomach and sent her flying backward. She crashed into something and slid to the ground. Jiang Hao walked to her and stepped on her chest with his right foot. Can you make sure you water only your side, senior sister? Wan Shi clutched at her neck. Jiang Hao, are you trying to kill me? A fellow disciple? If you dare, just do it. The half-moon blade slashed down again. Crack. Bang. The half-moon blade only hit air. Wan Shi had disappeared. She must have used a treasure. Wan Shi was leaning against a tree and gasping. Her eyes were filled with fear. Jiang Hao would have really killed her. If it wasn't for her treasure, she would have been dead. Senior sister. Save me. Cried Wan Shi Diduradolf. The others finally reacted. They were shocked that the silent and quiet Jiang Hao had actually drawn his weapon and would have killed someone just as easily. Yishan was furious. How dare you try to kill a fellow disciple? I will make sure you face the law enforcement hall. She charged at Jiang Hao while unleashing the aura of the peak of the Foundation establishment realm. Jiang Hao dodged her attack and appeared behind her. A dagger appeared in his hand. He stabbed it into Yishan's neck. What a fool. She is at the peak of the Foundation establishment realm and still isn't vigilant of her surroundings. Jiang Hao couldn't believe she had exemplary talent and was considered a genius. Jiang Hao then elbowed her on the stomach and stomped her head into the ground. He then approached Wan Shi. Wan Shi retreated in fear. Jiang Hao placed the knife against her neck. I'll ask you again. Senior sister, can you please make sure you water only on your own side? Wan Shi nodded. Why yes. Can you say within your own field? I can. If others don't mind it but I do. Will that pose a problem for you? No. Others are all the same but you're different. Jiang Hao sheathed his knife. Then I am very sorry to trouble you for it, senior sister. It's no trouble at all. Wan Shi shook her head. Jiang Hao approached Yishan. He helped her up. Senior sister, considering the situation, do you think I acted reasonably? Why yes, said Yishan in fear. That's good. Jiang Hao nodded and then returned to the spirit field. He sat down and started cultivating. Everyone heaved a sigh of relief. The person that they all ignored and looked down on was very powerful. Shortly after, the two women from the Ice Moon Valley were rescued. The others sat quietly in their own spirit fields. No one dared to argue. When Qi of the flowing waterfall looked at Jiang Hao, he was confused. How was Jiang Hao so fast in his attacks? Or were the two people from the Ice Moon Valley really incompetent? Jiang Hao's aura hadn't exceeded that of someone in the late stage of the Foundation establishment realm after all. Maybe it was because Yi Shan and Wan Shi didn't have any combat experience. But this incident would surely bring more trouble. After all, the disciples sent on the sect's mission were all geniuses. Ice Moon Valley would definitely demand an explanation. However, they weren't murdered, so the law enforcement hall wouldn't get involved. At most, Jiang Hao's resources would be confiscated, and he might have to pay a fine. Jiang Hao didn't care. The only thing he was concerned about was how Ice Moon Valley would handle this incident. When he had killed Yun Ruo, the Heavenly Joy Pavilion sent someone to avenge her. 3 days later, Han Ming learned about the incident from Mu Qi. Senior brother Jiang defeated someone who was at the peak of Foundation establishment realm? Han Ming was surprised. But he is only at the late stage. Yeah, but the ones at the peak stage were inexperienced in combat. The consequences weren't severe. However, several disciples in the late stage of the Foundation establishment realm have sent letters from Ice Moon Valley challenging him to a fight. Mu Qi took out some envelopes from his pocket. He looked helpless. Han Ming asked for the envelopes and the addresses of the two people who had picked a fight with Jiang Hao. After that, he intercepted them. Wan Shi and Yi Shan had just recovered from their injuries. They looked at Han Ming in confusion. "Hello, I'm Han Ming from the Cliff of Broken Hearts. I want to challenge you to a fight, Senior Sister Wan Shi." Wan Shi looked shocked. "Senior Sister Wan Shi, do you accept the challenge?" He looked at the envelopes in his hand. He planned to challenge them all one by one. Han Ming hadn't been able to defeat Jiang Hao even once, and these people wanted to challenge him. Chapter 254, famous because of his fights. Jiang Hao still maintained his usual routine of taking care of his spirit herbs at Spirit Mountain. He always went there early and returned home late at night. He was waiting for someone from the law enforcement hall to come and question him, but 3 days had passed and no one had come. No matter how weak Yi Shan and Wan Shi had been, they were still exceptionally talented disciples. After he had injured them heavily, the Ice Moon Valley or the sect was bound to say something. However, after the incident, everything had been quiet. The others got along well. They greeted and spoke with each other politely, and they went about their own business. Jiang Hao understood that these people had been sheltered their whole lives. They brought shame to the demonic sect. Jiang Hao still remembered how Wen Qi had stayed silent when Yi Shan had berated him. Both were geniuses at the same level. Wen Qi should have taken action against her long ago. After a few days, I'll have to watch over the immortal peach tree as it undergoes another incarnation. After leaving the spirit herb garden, Jiang Hao began to think about the next incarnation of the peach tree. This time would be different. He urgently needed to find a third purple bubble to obtain a new divine ability. Before he could even leave the Cliff of Broken Heart, he saw Lu Xingqian approach him. Finally, Jiang Hao had prepared for his visit mentally. He didn't know how many spirit stones he would have to pay as compensation, but he had no choice. If the fine exceeded 2,000 spirit stones, it would be troublesome for him. If it exceeded 3,000, he would have to go sell more talismans in the next few days. The incarnation of the immortal peach tree required 14,000 spirit stones. He had around 17,000 spirit stones on him right now. "Junior brother Jiang, you don't seem surprised to see me," Lu Xingqian said. "Senior brother Lu, you must be pulling my leg," said Jiang Hao politely. "It seems you understand the consequences of your action, junior brother." "Jiang," said Lu Xingqian. "But, you are wrong this time." "How?" Jiang Hao was somewhat surprised. "Is it even more serious than I thought? Do you think the situation is that grave?" Lu Xingqian teased him. Jiang Hao thought for a moment. "If you came alone, the case might not be very serious." Lu Xingqian laughed. "Indeed. It's not a problem at all." Jiang Hao was baffled. "Really?" "Yes. The people from the Ice Moon Valley wanted you to pay 500 spirit stones as compensation. The law enforcement hall didn't want to get involved because it was just a simple fight between disciples of two branches. However, they did agree that 500 spirit stones were good enough to pay as compensation. However, your master refused," said Lu Xingqian. The Cliff Master asked how someone could demand compensation after being defeated by someone at a lower level than them. The negotiation broke down completely after that. "The negotiations broke down?" Jiang Hao was astonished. "Yeah. So, there was no agreement, but your master said his branch was ready for a fight if they wanted it. This time, it seems the Cliff of Broken Hearts wants to protect you. It's only natural. You have made so many contributions to the branch after all." Lu Xingqian chuckled. "Besides, you are already on our suspect list. Junior brother Jiang, this time you don't need to pay any compensation. The only trouble is that the cultivators from Ice Moon Valley might come to challenge you. They will do it for the sake of their reputation and to please the two people who picked a fight with you. Someone is always trying to make trouble." Jiang Hao suddenly realized that making contributions had its benefits. As long as he had achievements to his name that benefited the branch, they would have his back. Even when the law enforcement hall had arrested him, he had to be released sooner than the others because he was one of the top 10 disciples at the time. This time, the merit he had gained from making the corpse realm flower bloom helped him. His master was willing to argue and fight to see him treated well. But the challenges? "I've never received a challenge before," Jiang Hao said. Lu Xingqian nodded. "You know, whether you pay the compensation or not, it will be the same. People will try to target you anyway. The situation won't get too serious though. Ice Moon Valley has other disciples they need to focus on. I asked around and found out that many people are praising your combat skills." Jiang Hao understood how unpleasant the two disciples had been. It was only natural for others to dislike them. However, he was surprised that no one had tried to take action against him until now. Perhaps the ones who were talented didn't want to engage in petty matters like these. Those who were exceptionally talented usually wanted to live longer to get stronger. After that, Lu Xingchen went to the mines again. Currently, he was still in a state where 2 remnant souls had banded together against him. If he found another remnant soul, the 3 souls would fight against him. It was unclear who would win in the end. Jiang Hao planned to look around the spirit field at Spirit Mountain for traces of Bai Yi. The main reason he took on this mission was to do just that. He couldn't delay any longer. When he arrived at Spirit Mountain, he found that Yi Shan and Wan Shi had returned to their respective spirit fields. Their injuries had completely healed, but Wan Shi looked quite disheveled. Jiang Hao wondered what had happened to her. When the 2 of them saw Jiang Hao, they lowered their heads and didn't meet his eyes. Jiang Hao's ruthlessness had intimidated them. At first, they thought that they were looking down on Jiang Hao because he was someone with only average talent. However, it now seemed that Jiang Hao had looked down on them instead. Now, whenever Jiang Hao said something, they listened carefully. They were afraid he would draw his saber again. Jiang Hao had been so fast in his attacks that no one dared confront him. Wan Shi moved her spirit herbs further away from the boundary so that water wouldn't splash on Jiang Hao's spirit field. Jiang Hao's attitude toward these people remained the same. He was calm and polite with everyone. After that, he tended to the spirit herbs and wandered around the area. His spirit herbs were about to mature and didn't need constant supervision. He didn't care whether the others would try to destroy his herbs when he was away. No one had dared to do that so far. If they did, he would deal with it. In the 3rd month, Jiang Hao's spirit herbs had fully matured. He was now waiting for the end of the mission. During that time he observed his surroundings. He used daily appraisal on the spirit herbs in other people's fields. However, nothing was strange. The spirit herbs in the field of the Candlelight Pill Pavilion disciples were the same as those belonging to the disciples from the 100 Bones Forest. He especially paid attention to the spirit herbs in the spirit field, overseen by those from 100 Bones Forest. He wanted to see if he could find any trace of Bai Yi. But so far he had found nothing. There was one surprising news during this time. Han Ming had accepted so many challenges that were meant for Jiang Hao. Most of his opponents were in the late stage of the Foundation Establishment realm. As someone in the middle stage of the Foundation Establishment realm, he had no extra advantage. He had suffered multiple injuries. However, Han Ming had persevered. He had won 3 challenges and lost 4. However, in the 8th fight he made a breakthrough amidst his injuries and advanced to the late stage of the Foundation Establishment realm. He had become famous for his endless fights and determination. Whenever Jiang Hao met Mu Qi, he praised him to the skies. As fellow disciples with exceptional talent, Yi Shan and the others were as weak as those with below-average talent. However, Han Ming was extraordinary. Even with exceptional talent, it was impossible to reach the late stage of the Foundation Establishment realm at the age of 23. Jiang Hao sat in the spirit field and began to think about the immortal peach tree. It was now mid-November. The incarnation of the tree couldn't be delayed anymore. I'll go back early today and help with the incarnation. Once the incarnation succeeded, he might be able to obtain a new divine ability. Chapter 255. The Demoness stays back and wants to take a bath. At the Hidden Cloud Prefecture, upstream of the Huangsha River, Baizhu floated midair. She looked down at the river. It seems like this is the place. I wonder if I can find what I'm looking for. The location Jing had provided was right here. It was time to confirm everything. I want to see if Jing was bluffing. If not, let's see how he dealt with the dragon. His methods might not have been effective. She wasn't in a hurry. She continued to float down along the riverside. It should be this area. Baizhu floated in the air. Her green dress swayed in the breeze. She stared at the river. As she continued downstream, the turbulent river slowed down. She stopped in her tracks. She had imagined the dragon to be huge, but it was so small in reality. She had almost missed it. It can't be. Is this the only thing that is left? Doubt filled her mind as she slowly descended. The water separated, revealing the riverbed. She saw a purple sphere. Ha! She gestured to it and the sphere flew to her hand. She left the surface of the river and floated up into the sky. She examined the purple sphere. She could see a tiny dragon inside. It was so small that she would have missed it if she hadn't been paying attention. She was intrigued by the technique that was used to seal the creature. I have never seen something like this. Jing was not as simple as she had thought. An ordinary cultivator wouldn't have a technique like this. It seems that he's not pretending to be mysterious. I'll have to be more vigilant in the next transaction. She put away the dragon and looked at the distant village. Baizhu thought that she might be able to find out more by asking around. However, there was no need to draw attention to the matter right now. She left from there and prepared for the next gathering. In the Heavenly Note sect, Jiang Hao returned to his residence a little early. At this moment, the spirit beast was with Xiao Li. They were secretly picking peaches from the tree. We picked so many. What if senior brother Jiang scolds us? Xiao Li was a little afraid. He won't. Master will never scold me. What about me? Just mention my name. Everything will be fine. Really? Have I ever lied to you? Asked the spirit beast. I didn't know spirit beasts liked peaches, said Xiao Li. Spirit beasts eat people. Later we'll go in and find some carrots. I love carrots. Jiang Hao had just stepped through the gate when the spirit beast sensed his presence. He was surprised. The beast seemed to sense him no matter how well he hid himself. Master, you're back, said the spirit beast. Xiao Li was so startled that she dropped 2 peaches on the ground. As senior brother Jiang. She picked up the peaches from the ground and lowered her head guiltily. Jiang Hao looked at her. Are the peaches sweet this time? Yes, very. Xiao Li nodded. Indeed. Jiang Hao let Xiao Li and the spirit beast pick more peaches. She looked very happy that she wasn't punished. When there were only 3 peaches left on the tree, Jiang Hao told them to stop. Xiao Li hopped back to her house happily with a peach in her mouth. Jiang Hao watched Xiao Li leave and turned around. He saw that the spirit beast was battered and bruised, and it was hanging from a branch. Do you know who your junior is? Asked a pleasant voice. Although the tone of her voice was casual, Jiang Hao didn't let his guard down. Jiang Hao saw Hong Yuye appear near the tree in a red and white dress. Her hair was tied up in a bun. She plucked a peach from the branch and took a bite. Jiang Hao felt as though his heart would give out. It was racing too much. Hong Yuye looked particularly beautiful at that moment. Is she using enchantment on me? Jiang Hao was baffled. He could withstand every enchantment directed at him except hers. The heaven extinction goo poison had no effect when he faced her. This is sweet. Hong Yuye looked disappointed. It seems like you're wrong again. Jiang Hao lowered his head. Perhaps that was the only sweet one and you happened to eat it. Tell me about your junior. Do you know what she is? Hong Yuye sat on a wooden chair and bit into the peach again. Senior, do you know it already? A tremendous force surged forth. With a bang, Jiang Hao crashed into the wall. I'm the one asking you, not the other way around. Jiang Hao breathed a sigh of relief and stood up. Junior sister Xiao Li is a dragon. Do you know what kind of dragon she is? Hong Yuye asked again. No. Jiang Hao shook his head. Tell me how she joined you here. Jiang Hao explained Xiao Li's situation and how he had helped her with meals from the cafeteria because it wasn't enough for her. So, you recruited her into the sect. It's not surprising. Hong Yuye chuckled. She is still young. She will treat whoever treats her well with kindness. You gave her a meal. She will always remember that. Are dragons really that vulnerable emotionally? Jiang Hao asked. Hong Yuye looked at Jiang Hao and smiled. Don't you see it? Xiao Li had lost her memory and her power. Jiang Hao was hoping to learn more from Hong Yuye. Eat the peach. Hong Yuye pointed to the peach tree. Can we proceed with the incarnation today? We can. Jiang Hao nodded. He had planned to do it today anyway. After eating the peach, he began to arrange the spirit stones in a formation. 14,700 spirit stones were gone just like that. He only had about 3,000 with him now. Hong Yuye sat on the wooden chair and watched as the last peach absorbed all the nutrients and spiritual energy. In the middle of the night, the peach tree withered. Early the next morning, the fruit fell to the ground. The entire tree turned to ash. It's almost done. He didn't expect Hong Yuye to stay overnight at his place. What's next? Hong Yuye asked. Jiang Hao picked up the peach tree seed and planted it again at the same spot. The next step is to water it for 6 days. It'll sprout again. It'll be a new cycle. Is that all? Hong Yuye asked. Yes. Jiang Hao nodded. Hong Yuye stood up and walked inside the house. Prepare some hot water. I want to take a bath. Jiang Hao still felt a dull pain in his back from the time he had crashed into the wall. He didn't dare refuse her. "Oh, by the way," Hong Yuya suddenly stopped and turned around. "Use your divine ability on me again." Divine ability? Does she mean daily appraisal? Chapter 256. Do you think I can't take a bath by myself? Jiang Hao was puzzled because of Hong Yuya's sudden request. Since he had advanced, he hadn't really tried using daily appraisal on her. It was easy to be caught. He had postponed it until he got stronger. He had no choice but to use it this time. He adjusted his breathing and concealed his aura. Then he activated the daily appraisal. The feedback came slowly. Hong Yuya was too powerful, so the ability took its time to show the information. The feedback finally came. Jiang Hao was surprised. The feedback wasn't full of question marks like before. However, it still didn't reveal much. He wondered if he would be able to uncover more if he advanced further. But he had to get Hong Yuya's permission to use the ability. Otherwise it would be risky. "I used it," Jiang Hao said. "Have you tried the techniques from the 7 forms of Heavenly Blade book that I gave you?" asked Hong Yuya. "How far did you reach?" "The 3rd form," Jiang Hao said truthfully. He didn't know when he would be able to learn the 4th form. Hong Yuya didn't ask any more and waited in the hall while Jiang Hao heated the water. After heating the water and pouring it into the tub, he sprinkled some silver moon petals on the surface. This time he only used 1 packet of the petals. He didn't know if that would be enough to cover the surface. He then informed Hong Yuya that the water was ready. Hong Yuya walked in and reached out to check the water. She then turned to Jiang Hao. "Do you think I can't take a bath by myself?" Jiang Hao stepped back. "Of course not. I'll leave now." He was just waiting to see if Hong Yuya would have a problem with it. Jiang Hao stood at the door behind him as he left. He took out the book on light and dust technique. This cultivation technique was related to one's state of mind. He always felt a little dazed whenever Hong Yuya visited. If he hadn't practiced mindfulness, he would have been very flustered right now. He read the book for a while until his heart stopped pounding. The stone tablet trembled in his pocket. He checked it and saw that Dan Yuan had called for a gathering a month later. It had been nearly 5 months since the last gathering, and it was indeed time for another one. However, the notification came earlier this time. They had to wait for a month. He glanced at the messages. It was a conversation between Lu and Xing. Lu had tracked down the person Xing was looking for. He was asking if Xing needed them alive. Jiang Hao felt that Lu was incredibly powerful. He needed to be prepared for the gathering. Gui's mission was already done. He was just waiting for the next gathering to collect his reward. Lu was just focusing on his cultivation, while Xing didn't really have any tasks at hand. Jiang Hao couldn't fulfill Xing's mission even if he had the ability. Lu was already assigned to it. It wouldn't look good to snatch away another person's target. If he did that, they would resent him. Some things couldn't be rushed. There was still time. It was better to obtain the curses to deal with Bai Yi first. Putting away the stone tablet, Jiang Hao turned to look at the door behind him. It had been a long time since Hong Yuya had gone inside. She still hadn't come out. Jiang Hao wondered if it would be the same as last time. He wanted to check to make sure she was okay. But after the last incident, he didn't dare open the door. He had no choice but to wait. "Come in," said the voice from inside. Jiang Hao was startled. He calmed himself and got up. He knocked and informed her that he was opening the door. Then he went in. She was standing beside the tub, dressed in a blue and white gown. Her hair cascaded down to her waist. She leaned down and stirred the water. "This tub is too small. Get a larger one." Jiang Hao nodded. He saw that the silver moon petals were still scattered on the surface. The room was spacious enough to accommodate a larger wooden tub. Hong Yuya turned to face him. "If the tub is still the same next time I visit, I'll stuff you in it." Jiang Hao promised to replace it. Then Hong Yuya faded away. Jiang Hao saw her vanish. He noticed that her red and white dress was still draped across the screen. He thought Hong Yuya had forgotten her dress. In the next moment, the dress vanished. He then went to the market to find another tub. He found one that had curved edges. It was larger than the one he had before. It had some stones edged onto the side. They were sunset red. He thought Hong Yuya would like this tub. Fortunately, it wasn't very expensive. It cost him only 1 spirit stone. After installing the tub, Jiang Hao continued with his own work. He headed to Spirit Mountain and walked around the area. He He still didn't find anything. On the 6th day, Jiang Hao returned to his courtyard to see the spirit beast drooling beside the heavenly fragrance Dao flower. He also saw a purple bubble beside the peach tree seedling. White bubbles occasionally appeared in the courtyard, but they weren't as important as purple bubbles. Jiang Hao sat on the wooden chair and glanced at his interface. Without any hesitation he chose to acquire it. He was excited to see what kind of divine ability he would get this time. After acquiring it, the numbers instantly reset to 0. At that moment he felt changes throughout his entire body. He felt energy rushing from his skin to his bones. It felt as though countless ants were crawling within and outside his body. It made him feel a bit uncomfortable. The sensation disappeared after a while. Although he didn't know what divine ability he had obtained, he was sure it had something to do with physicality. After a while his body returned to normal. There were no substantial changes in his body. He didn't feel anything different. Maybe the divine ability isn't very powerful this time? He sighed and opened his interface to confirm it. Chapter 257, 5th Ranked Disciple. Revival of Withered Tree. Jiang Hao was quite surprised. It is no wonder I couldn't use it. It doesn't seem like a common type of divine ability. This divine power targeted the entire body. It was supposedly a passive divine ability. Maybe it could be activated after getting injured. He hefted his half-moon blade and made a small cut on his palm. As expected, the revival of Withered Tree activated by default and healed his cut at a rapid speed. The divine ability acted quite fast because it was only a small cut. It didn't even consume his energy. He wondered what would happen if he was severely injured. It seems I need to test the limits of this ability. Jiang Hao felt that having such an ability was useful in the long run. Made him feel safe. However, the extent of the sense of safety would depend on the limits of the ability. Jiang Hao checked his lifeblood and cultivation. By next year he should be able to advance to the late stage of the primordial spirit realm. He just hoped that he wouldn't be sent on other missions that would prevent him from collecting bubbles. Currently, most bubbles came from the heavenly fragrance Dao flower. Nowadays, ordinary spirit herbs rarely produce bubbles. I wonder if mining is any useful. In the past I could get 20 bubbles in a day, but now I get 2 at most. Unfortunately, he couldn't go to the mines without a good reason. The downside of having merit was that he couldn't be punished for petty misdemeanors by being sent to the mines. 7 days passed in a flash. Jiang Hao realized that there were only 2 weeks left until the end of the sect's mission. Jiang Hao headed to the law enforcement hall to pay the remaining 1,000 spirit stones for his previous failed mission. The senior at the reception expressed her regrets and informed him that he couldn't accept any more missions for the time being because he had recently run into trouble. "I understand," said Jiang Hao. "Thank you, senior sister." He also constantly tried to test the revival of Withered Tree ability. It could heal all sorts of injuries. Injuries caused by treasures, spells, poison, or weapons were all able to heal. However, the time it took to heal the injuries varied. Sometimes it would heal in no time. Other times it took a while. Regardless, it was still faster than the body's natural healing ability. Jiang Hao also felt some improvements in his cultivation and meditation. The revival of Withered Tree was more useful than he had anticipated. As mid-December approached, there were only 3 days left until the end of the sect's mission. 3 months were almost over. By now most people's spirit herbs had matured. However, Wanshi still had one white spirit flower that hadn't grown well. It was because she didn't water it very well. After the last incident where Jiang Hao had drawn his saber, there had been no further disputes among the group. Today everyone talked and laughed among themselves. They seemed happy that the mission was finally coming to an end. Jiang Hao walked along the border of the 100 Bones forest, which was close to the spirit field. He walked along the path and observed the spirit herbs. If he still didn't find anything, he would have to return empty-handed. After walking for a while, he saw a girl carrying a basket. She was heading up the mountain. Her hair was in double braids and she wore the attire of the sect. Jiang Hao was startled to see her. Although she seemed to be in the middle stage of the Foundation establishment realm, she emanated indescribable power. Her strength surpassed even that of someone in the primordial spirit realm. "Senior brother, why are you staring at me?" asked the girl curiously. The heaven extinction goo poison worked its magic in keeping him calm. "I'm very sorry if I have offended you in any way, junior sister. It's just that I haven't seen anyone else on the mountain in the past few months." "That's all right. said the girl and smiled. Senior brother, are you curious about the spirit herbs found here? Jiang Hao nodded. I work in the spirit herb garden in my branch. I wanted to familiarize myself with these spirit herbs. They look unique. I see. However, these spirit herbs here can only be looked at and not touched. Most of them are our master's favorites. Unfortunately, not many of us in the 100 Bones Forest know much about spirit herbs, except Senior Brother Bai Yi. But Senior Brother Bai Yi chooses to stay holed up in his own house and refuses to come out. So, I'm trying to take care of them, but I don't know much either. I see. Jiang Hao nodded. I heard Senior Brother Bai Yi has challenged Senior Brother Manlong for the title of one of the top 10 disciples. I've heard about it too, but I feel that Senior Brother Bai Yi will fail. He's not good at fighting. It might require absolute strength to win the title of one of the top 10 disciples of the sect. If it was based on talent, maybe he would have a chance. The girl pointed to some spirit herbs at a distance. Would you like to follow me there, Senior Brother? I need to take care of those herbs. Sure. Jiang Hao nodded. The girl walked ahead. Jiang Hao finally activated the daily appraisal on her. Jiang Hao was astonished. She was actually in the 5th rank among the top 10 disciples of the sect. Manlong was the 10th. He was at the peak of the primordial spirit realm. Yi Yaqing was already at the late stage of the soul ascension realm. The gap in power and strength was ridiculously huge. Jiang Hao wondered how powerful that first-rank disciple would be. He had known that the top 10 disciples were incredibly powerful, but he was still astonished. Now that he had seen the disciple who ranked 5th, he realized how massive the gap between him and her was. If he could catch up in a few years, he still had hope. Why do you think Senior Brother Bai Yi will fail, Junior Sister? Asked Jiang Hao. I feel that he might have a shot at winning. Yi Yaqing squatted down and looked at a white flower. She seemed deep in thought. I don't know. I think that Senior Brother Bai Yi's strength isn't enough to win the title of one of the top 10 disciples. Not enough. If she was actually at the Foundation Establishment realm, Jiang Hao wouldn't have believed her. However, she was in the Soul Ascension realm. If she felt that Bai Yi didn't have a chance, then he believed her. However, he wouldn't give up on finding a way to deal with Bai Yi. Are there many other people who want to see Senior Brother Bai Yi fight? He asked. Yes. Yi Yaqing smiled and looked at him. Many people want to see how powerful Senior Brother Bai Yi is. They have even placed bets. Whenever a challenge is issued in the sect, that happens. Recently, some people wanted to meet Senior Brother Bai Yi to buy his pills. They wait for him to become one of the top 10 disciples and sell the pills at a higher price. A pill made by one of the top 10 disciples is considered very valuable. Oh, by the way, I have some pills here. Senior Brother Bai Yi made them. The market price is 35 spirit stones, but I'll sell them to you for 40. Senior Brother Bai Yi wins, you can sell them at the market for 50 or more. These are genuine. Chapter 258, So, a top disciple can lie too. Jiang Hao accepted a bottle of pills. He felt disappointed. He had no use for Foundation Establishment pills. However, if they were truly refined by Bai Yi himself, he could use them to place a curse on him. Casting a curse was tricky. He would need more pills. Is it really refined by Senior Brother Bai Yi? Jiang Hao asked. Of course I would never deceive you, Yi Yaqing said solemnly. Is there more? Jiang Hao asked. Yes, of course. But do you have enough spirit stones? You are only at the late stage of the Foundation Establishment realm after all. Junior Sister, your cultivation seems even lower than mine, yet you have so many pills. If you have pills, then I can have spirit stones. For a moment Yi Yaqing was stunned. Then she nodded. Of course, Senior Brother. You're right. She took out 9 more bottles of pills. Here, a total of 10 bottles. That will be 400 spirit stones. Is there more? Jiang Hao asked. Senior Brother, you have an unexpectedly large amount of spirit stones. I've saved them for many years, Jiang Hao said. Many people knew that he sold talismans. Why else would the people from the law enforcement hall keep an eye on him every day? They wanted to rip him off. Talisman makers, pill refiners, artifact forgers and formation masters were all money-making professions. Some earned a lot in their field while others, not so much. But it required patience and talent to make these things. Otherwise, everyone could do it and the items would have no value at all. I'm out of pills right now. What about a magic artifact? However, it's a little damaged. I was planning to take it for repairs. Yi Yaqing looked around and took out a palm-sized shield. This wishful mountain shield can be used for defense. You can even activate automatic defense with it. Automatic defense treasures are very rare. They withstand all foundation, establishment realm attacks and even some golden core realm attacks too. However, the wishful mountain shield is broken. It costs 3,000 spirit stones to repair it. The market price should be around 2,500 spirit stones for this broken shield. So, I will have to pay you 5,500 spirit stones if I want it? Asked Jiang Hao. 6,000 actually. You need to pay an extra 500 spirit stones. Otherwise there is no profit for me. Jiang Hao was stunned. Where would he get so many spirit stones? However, if it was really Bai Ye's personal treasure, it would be useful for him. It would increase the success rate of his curses. The pills cost him 400 spirit stones. The shield was 6,000. It was simply too exorbitant. However, both the pills and the magic artifact could be sold. Jiang Hao didn't think it would take so much to repair a broken shield. I'll take the pills for now. I'll consider the magic artifact and get back to you. Jiang Hao gave her 400 spirit stones. Let's meet here tomorrow. I'll confirm with you whether I want the magic artifact then. Alright. I'll wait for you here tomorrow. Yi Yaqing accepted the spirit stones joyfully. Do you really have 6,000 spirit stones? I only have 3,000. As for the other 3,000 for repair, I might have to wait and think about it. If she was willing to sell him the shield for 3,000, it would be great. Yi Yaqing nodded. After that, Jiang Hao returned to his spirit field, while Yi Yaqing continued to tend the spirit herbs. The next day, Jiang Hao set up a stall at the marketplace to sell talismans. He was stalling for time to decide whether it was worth it to buy the shield. He wanted to appraise it first. It was ridiculously expensive, so he wanted to confirm if it actually belonged to Bai Yi. If it did, he would buy it. He needed more spirit stones. He currently had 1,300 spirit stones. He put the 15 healing talismans, 1,500,000 swords talismans, and 15 earth-shattering talismans on display. If he could sell them all today, he would have enough spirit stones to buy the artifact. That was unlikely unless... Do you have a power manipulation talisman? Asked a voice. Jiang Hao looked up and saw a familiar face. He knew the person. He was always rude, but he paid well. No. Jiang Hao shook his head. No. Duan Guan said disdainfully. You can't even make such a simple talisman? Is your late stage in the Foundation establishment realm just for show? I've never seen such a lousy talisman maker. You have talent, but you're lazy. You might be killed sooner or later. Just go back to your home and farm or something. After he finished speaking, Duan Guan swept away all the talismans on display and left behind 2,250 spirit stones. Jiang Hao was dumbfounded. Duan Guan was very impolite, but he always bought everything from him. How did he have so many spirit stones? This time, the sole reason Jiang Hao had set up a stall in the market was to wait for Duan Guan. He did have a few power manipulation talismans, but he didn't really sell them. Duan Guan found faults in Jiang Hao no matter what he did. He didn't want to offend him by appearing capable. He was afraid Duan Guan might stop buying talismans from him. It would be more trouble than it was worth. Jiang Hao hoped he would encounter Duan Guan in the coming months too. Even Leng Tian would do. She usually bought a lot of talismans. After that, he headed to the border of the 100 Bones Forest at Spirit Mountain. Yi Yaqing was waiting for him. Senior brother, you actually came. Have you made up your mind? Can I see the item first? Of course. After receiving the magic artifact, Jiang Hao used the daily appraisal on it. Jiang Hao was speechless. It was indeed Bai Ye's artifact. A poor fool, he felt embarrassed. However, he didn't mind. He could happily be the fool. I'll buy it. He handed over 3,000 spirit stones. He was now left with only 500 spirit stones. Are you sure? Yi Yaqing was surprised. Yeah. If everything goes well, I can sell it for more. You're really playing big. I wish you luck. Jiang Hao bid her farewell. Neither of them tried to find out more about each other. It was strictly a business transaction. It was better that way. The next day was the final day of the sect's mission. Jiang Hao appraised the pills. The first bottle wasn't refined by Bai Yi. He had been scammed. He sighed. I never thought someone who ranked 5th among the top 10 disciples would scam others for spirit stones. It seemed like everyone was in need of spirit stones. He understood the need. He was at the late stage of the Foundation establishment realm, but he didn't even have as much money as someone at his stage would have. After completing the sect's mission today, I will wait for the midnight gathering. Chapter 259, The End of All Things. On the last day when Jiang Hao arrived at the foot of Spirit Mountain, he found that the senior was already waiting for them. He quickly went over to greet him and then waited for the others. After a while the others arrived one by one. Finally Yi Shan and Wan Shi arrived. When they saw the senior they walked up to him and apologized for making him wait. The senior was surprised. These people had changed in a couple of months. Now that everyone is here, let's go up and see your achievements. The others nodded in agreement. A group of 11 people arrived at the top of Spirit Mountain. All the spirit herbs had matured, except for one white spirit flower that belonged to Wan Shi. If they have matured, you can take away 1/3 as your reward and I will take the rest, said the senior. You can choose which one to take with you. Jiang Hao hesitated for a moment and chose the best bright sun grass, a medium-grade Bodhi flower, and a low-grade white spirit flower. Once everyone made their choices, they were escorted away from Spirit Mountain. Before leaving, Jiang Hao noticed that Yi Shan and the others had a relieved smiles on their faces. These people were still too naive. Jiang Hao felt that they wouldn't live very long. After a while, he received a reward of 100 spirit stones from the law enforcement hall for the mission. It was less than he had expected. On his way back to the spirit herb garden, he saw someone being beaten in the woods. It turned out to be Lin Ji. You used all the spirit stones and pills? What's the point of using them when you can't even advance beyond the first stage of the lifeblood refinement realm? A girl in the 4th stage of the lifeblood refinement realm kicked Lin Ji. Yeah, in 3 months he will be expelled from the sect. Hard to say. I heard that his 2 friends have found someone to help him extend his time limit. It's good to have such friends. Too bad this trash can't amount to anything. It's been almost 3 years and he's still only at the 1st stage of the lifeblood refinement realm. I've never seen a disciple with such poor talent. Let's go. We can always snatch the spirit stones next time. Jiang Hao shook his head and walked away. There was nothing he could do. He couldn't intervene. As the mentor, the spirit beast would guide Lin Ji, not him. He couldn't get too involved in this. Sister Zhou, there is no need to be so polite. It's just 1 year. It's no problem at all, said a disciple in the Foundation Establishment realm, who was in charge of managing the outer sect disciples. Zhao Qingxue gave him 2 spirit stones in gratitude. Thank you, junior brother. Zhou Chan turned to leave with Zhao Qingxue. They had visited specifically to request to extend Lin Ji's stay. Another year should be enough for him to reach the 2nd stage of the lifeblood refinement realm. Before leaving, Zhao Qingxue also expressed her gratitude. Thank you so much, senior brother. It's nothing, said the disciple in the middle stage of the Foundation Establishment realm with a smile. After seeing them off, he let out a sigh of relief. He then looked at the 2 spirit stones and smiled. As for Lin Ji, he took out the list. Lin Ji's name was crossed out. He didn't have any time limits at all. Somehow the 2 people were unaware of it. Lin Ji could stay for another year. He could stay here indefinitely. He didn't know why Lin Ji was allowed to stay. He had just received an order the other day. It was an order from the highest authority on the Cliff of Broken Hearts. After spending some time in the spirit herb garden and tending to some spirit herbs, Jiang Hao returned to his own courtyard. He placed the things he had recently obtained on the table. There were 3 spirit herbs, which should be worth about 700 spirit stones in total. Adding the 100 he had received, he now had a total of 800 spirit stones. Jiang Hao had no plans to sell the 3 spirit herbs. He wanted to see if their effects were similar to other spirit herbs. He also had 10 bottles of Foundation Establishment Realm pills and the magic artifact. The magic artifact had already been appraised along with 1 bottle of pills. They could all be used as mediums to place the curse. The success rate would be higher. After putting away the items, he waited. The gathering would be held tonight. For Jiang Hao, who was in the Heavenly Note sect, the gathering was the only way for him to know what was happening outside. The gathering would be quite helpful for him. He had learned about Zhuang Yuzhen's visit to the sect through the gathering. Midnight finally arrived. Jiang Hao entered the stone tablet and waited in the public area. Today, besides Senior Dan Yuan, 4 other people were attending the gathering. Jiang Hao had always been curious about who else was involved in this. But for now it would be better if they weren't here. With too many people he wouldn't be able to build a mysterious persona and make them trust him. After greeting Senior Dan Yuan, they asked questions about cultivation. Only Xing raised doubts about a cultivation technique that sounded quite powerful. It was called Vast Sun and Moon. Senior Dan Yuan seemed to be quite familiar with the technique and patiently answered Xing's questions. Now that there are no more questions, let's talk about the previous mission. Dan Yuan looked at everyone. Did you find anything about the heavenly fragrance Dao flower? The others shook their heads. That's all right. Dan Yuan smiled. Jing, I have the information you wanted. Should I say it in front of everyone or would you want to talk privately? Privately, Jiang Hao said. This matter could be related to him personally, so it was better to be cautious. Okay. Dan Yuan nodded, and then a stone tablet appeared in front of Jiang Hao. Place your hand. When Jiang Hao placed his hand on it, he received a piece of information in his mind. The content of the information was: the Great Thousand God Sect is investigating the past and present of the Heavenly Note Sect, as well as its current location, important matters, important individuals and important objects. The reason the Great Thousand God Sect is investigating the Heavenly Note Sect is that they are working for a mysterious person who is probably looking for something related to the end of all things. The end of all things? Jiang Hao was surprised. This was too powerful. They provided such detailed information. It was no wonder Senior Dan Yuan could hold such a high position. It was understandable why everyone worked so hard to finish the mission they were given. The information that they got in exchange was worth it. Jiang Hao calmly withdrew his hand. Thank you, Senior Dan Yuan. Now, let's talk about another mission. Dan Yuan looked at everyone again. The Heavenly Fate Misfortune Pearl should be somewhere in the Hidden Cloud Prefecture. Now I will pass on a sealing technique to all of you. If you encounter it, you can seal it using this method. If you have any information on it or can successfully seal it, you can request any information you want. But it would be best to inform the sect as soon as possible to suppress it. Chapter 260, I have a better way. The Heavenly Fate Misfortune Pearl has been discovered. Jiang Hao listened attentively. The Heavenly Fate Misfortune Pearl was still in his possession, so handing it over was out of the question. Everyone said that the pearl was extremely terrifying, and once it broke free from its seal, it would bring about a catastrophic disaster. Therefore he could only continue to keep it hidden. However, now that others roughly knew its location, he worried that its exact whereabouts would be revealed. At that time, everything would depend on whether the Heavenly Note Sect could withstand the attacks. After Dan Yuan finished speaking, a stone tablet appeared in front of the four people. Jiang Hao already understood that this was the sealing technique. He placed his hand on it. The technique was called the 7 Stars Seal. Using 7 stars as anchor points, it connected to space and sealed the objects inside it. The speed of sealing was fast and the effect was powerful. However, the duration of the seal was short. It only lasted 7 days. It could be used up to 7 times, sealing the item for 49 days. I created the sealing technique. So far, only 5 of us know about it. No one else does, said Dan Yuan. Please don't share it with others for the time being. Jiang Hao and the others nodded. In other words, in the future, if they saw this sealing technique, it would be one of the 5 people who possessed it. Once they received the sealing technique, the gathering continued. Dan Yuan didn't issue any more missions, and it was now time for them to talk among themselves. Gui looked at Jiang Hao. I have confirmed the sealed dragon. There are no issues. The curses are ready for you. Do you want it now? Jiang Hao felt relieved. It meant he had passed her test. He remained calm. Yes, I want it now. Gui looked at Dan Yuan. A stone tablet appeared in front of the two of them. Once Gui finished transmitting the information, Jiang Hao examined it. Rather than trying to study its contents all at once, he simply wrote everything down and planned to study them more thoroughly later. After double-checking and confirming that there was no problem, he withdrew his hand. I found 3 people. I have detained them and they are a little injured. However, they said there was a 4th person. All right. I'll find a way to bring them to me. After that, our deal will be complete. Xing nodded. Lu nodded and then glanced at everyone. Actually, I have been thinking if there is a better way to recultivate. I hope you can help me gather information in this regard. As for the reward, I can offer spirit stones, cultivation techniques, and information. A better method? Said Jiang Hao. I think I saw something about it in an old book I found. Interestingly, this method also involves borrowing from the power of all things. Borrowing power from all living things? Lu looked at Jiang Hao. Friend Jing, please go on. The others were also curious. Gui had a strange feeling that Jing was being truthful. He might actually know of such a technique. After witnessing the way he had sealed the dragon, she believed him. Jiang Hao didn't keep them waiting any longer. Have you ever heard of a secret technique called shifting stars from the Bright Moon sect? He asked. Shifting stars. Lu looked at Xing. Xing thought for a moment. Indeed, I have heard of this secret technique, but I remember it being a temporary method to enhance one's own strength. This secret technique needs to be used in conjunction with the myriad bodies technique? Gui was quite puzzled. Jiang Hao shook his head. I only saw it in the ancient book. I haven't fully understood it yet. He turned to look at Dan Yuan. The others did the same. Indeed, it is possible. If it weren't for Jing's reminder, I wouldn't even have thought about it. Lu was delighted. Please enlighten us, Senior. In return, I will offer the promised reward. Dan Yuan nodded. In order to use the shifting stars technique, it requires a clone that can be incorporated into the body. It is best to use a portion of the primordial spirit as the foundation for the clone. Once the clone is successfully condensed, it can begin complete cultivation. When the cultivation foundation is solidified, the clone and the main body are merged, and the shifting stars technique can be used to transfer the cultivation method. During this process, one's cultivation will fluctuate, so it is best to experiment to reduce unexpected injuries. I wasn't the one who proposed the technique, so I won't claim the reward. However, I can provide the formation for half of the reward promised. If you have any further questions, you can ask me at any time. With this, the previous transaction is considered complete. Thank you, Senior. Jiang Hao accepted the formation, considering the trade complete. Lu looked at Xing. Obtaining the star-shifting technique is not difficult, but it will take some time. As for the price, we don't need to rush. Perhaps someone will show up overseas soon and you can help me out, Xing said. All right. Lu nodded and then looked at Jiang Hao. Friend Jing, what do you need? Jiang Hao had only intended to create a mysterious and reliable persona of himself. He hadn't intended on making a trade. However, he couldn't refuse. I need some information about the end of all things. Anything will do. Whether it's about the sect or any hidden meanings behind it. No problem. Lu nodded. After the trading session concluded, the group discussed various matters. The Bright Moon sect has begun sending out invitations, inviting people from various sects to the conference. Some outstanding individuals can not only enter the sect but also obtain many treasures. It seems that the true geniuses of the Clear Sky School will also be attending this time. I have heard about it as well. It is said that the Immortal Mansion may hold great opportunities. However, the situation overseas has not been peaceful lately. The sea is turbulent, and some people believe that hidden realms may appear in the deep sea. I encountered people from the Divine Corpse sect. Many of them are in the southern region. They are most likely heading to the Heavenly Note sect. After the last gathering, everyone understood one thing. The powerful individual who had gone into the Heavenly Note sect was from the Divine Corpse sect. Jiang Hao wanted to say something but he didn't. He had been in the Heavenly Note sect all this time, but he couldn't reveal anything. It was better to be quiet. After some time, Dan Yuan announced the end of the gathering. Jiang Hao and the others left the public area. Returning to his room, Jiang Hao immediately took out a notebook and began recording. He wanted to write down the curse technique he had just obtained. He also wrote down everything he had found out about the Divine Corpse sect and the end of all things. Chapter 261, Peerless Demon. Early in the morning, Jiang Hao looked at the notebook in front of him and sighed wearily. After confirming twice that everything was in order, he put the items away. He would let Hong Yuye take a look at the sealing technique later and only practice it if there were no issues. Although he possessed the universe in a palm technique to seal the pearl, Dan Yuan's sealing technique was stronger. He didn't know any other sealing techniques, so it was a good idea to learn this one. However, he needed to be careful when using it. It could easily expose his identity. It could be useful if anyone in the gathering wanted someone captured, and he could use the 7 stars technique to seal them. It would leave a good impression. As for the curse technique, he would study it tonight. It had been a long time since he last visited the Spirit Herb Garden. Starting today, he decided to get back to his routine. He arrived in the courtyard and saw the beast sitting in front of the heavenly fragrance Dao flower. It looked like it was deep in thought. "What are you doing?" Jiang Hao asked as he watered the flower. "Master, my friend said that Lin Ji might get expelled from the sect." "So?" Jiang Hao asked, putting away the bowl. "I pulled some strings and let Lin Ji stay back in the sect." "How long can your friends make him stay?" Jiang Hao asked. "1 year. The rest, Master, that is up to you." Jiang Hao chuckled. The spirit beast was truly bold and shameless. As a Foundation Establishment realm pet, it had gained some reputation at the Cliff of Broken Hearts. If Lin Ji wasn't investigated, then there would be no problem. However, if he was investigated and then found that Jiang Hao had let him stay, he might be in trouble. "You don't have to worry about that. Lin Ji can stay as long as he wants. No one will expel him from the sect," said Jiang Hao and left the courtyard. "Master, did you help him?" Jiang Hao did not answer the beast. When he visited his master last time, Jiang Hao mentioned Lin Ji's situation in passing and asked for his help. Since Jiang Hao had contributed a lot to the branch, his master agreed without any hesitation. To him it was not a big deal to let an outer sect disciple stay in the sect. Jiang Hao hadn't told anyone about it, not even Lin Ji. He didn't want anyone to know that he had involved himself in the matter. The spirit beast and Shaoli were examples of what happened when he got too involved. Before, he only thought about guiding them and then releasing them to their own devices. However, now he was constantly worried about them and wanted to make sure they could protect themselves before he set them free. If they caused any trouble, it would be traced directly back to him. It was very troublesome. "How is Chu Chuan doing?" Jiang Hao asked. "He's progressing quickly. He now says he wants to surpass Shaoli," said the spirit beast. Jiang Hao realized that he should pay more attention to Shaoli's cultivation. Perhaps Shaoli would be a good guide for Chu Chuan. The spirit beast was mostly a bad influence on people. Chu Chuan was not afraid of challenges and Lin Ji needed a mentor. Shaoli didn't need to be taught anything for now. Upon arriving at the spirit herb garden, Jiang Hao asked Ching Chou if he had any difficulties in his cultivation. Ching Chou was glad that Jiang Hao had asked. He had many questions. Jiang Hao patiently explained and cleared his doubts. It took the whole morning to finish explaining everything to Ching Chou. There was simply too much information. Ching Chou noted them all down so he could remember them better. "In the future, I will explain things to you every 1 or 2 months, and you can jot them down in your notebook," Jiang Hao said. Ching Chou was very grateful. He didn't know how, but he felt that Jiang Hao was even more knowledgeable than the seniors in the Golden Core realm. "By the way, how is Shaoli doing?" Jiang Hao asked. "Junior sister Shaoli is all right now. However, occasionally she is melancholic. I found her sitting alone under a tree last time. I try to sit with her when that happens." Jiang Hao lowered his head. He wasn't good at comforting people. He relied on the spirit beast and Ching Chou for something like that. By the way, after Shaoli breaks through the 6th stage of the lifeblood refinement realm, let her advance once every 3 months. That way she can advance to the Foundation Establishment realm next year. 6 years to reach the Foundation Establishment realm was faster than normal but still within the realm of exceptional talent. At night, Lin Ji came out of his house and headed to the forest. This was where he often cultivated. When he arrived, he didn't immediately start cultivating. Instead, he looked around. "Lord Beast? I'm here." The beast appeared on a tree behind him. "Do you know that you're going to be expelled from the sect?" Lin Ji nodded sadly. He wanted to advance but he simply couldn't. However, he heard people say that he could stay for another year. He felt that it was useless. He didn't think he could advance to the next stage even after a year. But he didn't want to leave. At the very least, he wanted to become a cultivator and a disciple. "You don't need to worry about that anymore. You can stay here as long as you like." "Really?" Lin Ji couldn't believe it. "But Lin Mo and Zhao Qingxue said that I could only stay in the sect for another year." "Do you know who you're talking to right now?" said the spirit beast as it held its head high. "You are still ignorant. In the future you'll understand what kind of peerless demon you're talking to. I am a great demon beast. Are your friends experts? Can they do for you what I have done for you? Have I ever deceived you?" Lin Ji shook his head. He believed in the beast. Without the beast guiding him, he would have been in even more trouble. Moreover, the beast had no reason to deceive him. "Should I tell my friends about this?" Lin Ji asked. "You should learn to observe quietly, endure setbacks, bide your time, and wait for the day when you will make a name for yourself. I'll help you succeed." Jiang Hao, who was observing from a distance, was speechless. The beast was truly shameless. It even declared itself a peerless demon. If the beast somehow disclosed that Jiang Hao had helped him stay in the sect, it would be troublesome. That was the reason Jiang Hao had followed along. Now he saw that he didn't need to worry. The beast was busy blowing its own trumpet. Lin Ji's physical condition had indeed improved a lot. The Star Moon Lifeblood refinement technique had helped him. Jiang Hao returned to his courtyard and took out his notebook. After learning the curse, it would be easier to cast it on by Yi during the night. If he could defeat him in one fell swoop, that would be perfect. Chapter 262. It turns out curses also require spirit stones. There are two types of curses: range curses and specific curses. A range curse affected the target's fortune, ranging from minor inconveniences and obstacles in their actions to catastrophic disasters like lightning strikes. This kind of curse is not easy to perform and carries a significant backlash. The success rate of such curses was very high. People curse others at the cost of their own lives and luck. However, few living people engage in such curses as they lack sufficient luck, and the backlash may be greater than the curse itself. The art of cursing is powerful but difficult to cast. On the other hand, specific curses target body parts or specific events. They have a lesser backlash, a lower cost, and a higher success rate. Cursing was a practice distinct from ordinary spell casting. It's difficult to eradicate and has an unusually long-lasting effect. For example, a simple curse of rotting and decay could make the person rot throughout their life, even when they healed themselves constantly. However, such simple curses were not considered significant in the cultivation world, and most people had the ability to deal with them. After skimming through the book, Jiang Hao discovered similarities between curses and the Heavenly Fate Misfortune Pearl. It is no wonder the Heavenly Fate Misfortune Pearl can suppress curses. It itself is a massive curse. But cursing someone is much more complicated than I expected. At first, Jiang Hao thought it only required simple materials and a specific incantation to perform a curse. But it was not that simple. It required the right timing, a favorable location, a formation, materials, and spiritual stones. It turned out that curses required many spirit stones. It was important to avoid the backlash. The more spirit stones used, the lesser the backlash. Otherwise, one would suffer from unknown side effects. Most of these curses were harmful to the body. Jiang Hao hesitated but decided to give the curse a try. If it didn't work, he would consider other alternatives. In any case, he couldn't let Bai Yi become a top disciple. Jiang Hao pondered whether to curse Bai Ye's cultivation or his body. First, let's prepare. He needed to wait for the right time to cast the curse, preferably at night when everything was quiet and there was minimal interference. Next was the orientation. A favorable orientation would increase the success rate. Then, the formation should correspond to the time of birth of the caster. Jiang Hao observed the courtyard and confirmed the location of the 100 Bones forest. Finally, he began drawing the curse formation. The formation was called the 3-in-1 formation. It consisted of two parts: placing the cursed object and casting the curse. There was also a place for the substitute object around the curse formation. He needed the blood of a beast, its head, spirit herbs, and other materials with abundant spiritual energy. The book indicated that without these items, success would be difficult. Jiang Hao had to buy them. In the end, he spent 60 spirit stones on the materials. 60 spirit stones wasn't very expensive. However, he needed to buy materials to cast the curse for 7 consecutive days to ensure its success. The cost of materials would add up. At night, with everything ready, Jiang Hao was about to curse Bai Ye's cultivation. He wanted to prevent him from making any progress regarding his cultivation. He placed the Wishful Mountain shield in the formation. He didn't use any spirit stones. Instead, he wanted to endure the backlash. He already had the Misfortune Pearl with him. The backlash from the curse wouldn't harm him much. He wanted to understand the power of curses and prevent others from cursing him. The curse began and the formation emitted a faint light. When the curse was placed, the blood in the formation started to burn. The beast's head turned to ashes and the spirit herbs withered. At this moment, the Wishful Mountain shield lit up. Jiang Hao was enveloped in a black mist, and his flesh burned. This was the backlash from the curse. His revival of withered tree ability activated itself and began to heal him. Jiang Hao was relieved and delighted. He then increased the intensity of the curse. The light shone brighter. His skin was burning. His skin blackened faster than it could heal. Jiang Hao didn't mind. If he could withstand the backlash of the curse, then Bai Yi might be able to withstand it too. If he increased the intensity of the curse to the extent that he couldn't withstand its effect, then it would be less likely for Bai Yi to resist it too. Jiang Hao continued to heighten the curse until his body was barely able to. After a while he stopped. The wishful mountain shield emitted a dark light. The curse might finally be effective. After escaping from the curse, Jiang Hao took out the heavenly fate misfortune pearl. The damage to his body ceased immediately. The revival of withered tree began healing him faster. By noon he had completely recovered, but the curse's backlash was not entirely gone. It was only suppressed. Jiang Hao felt that the revival of withered tree ability could dissolve the curse. Otherwise he would have to find another solution. After that, Jiang Hao left the courtyard and went to the spiritual herb garden. After tending to the spirit herbs and buying the necessary materials, he returned to his courtyard. In this way Jiang Hao cursed Bai Yi continuously for a month. He only stopped because his spirit stones were exhausted. At this point, Jiang Hao felt the side effects of the curse from head to toe. The Hongming Heart Sutra helped suppress it a bit. However, it wasn't as effective as the heavenly fate misfortune pearl. When he took out the pearl, the side effects of the curse disappeared. After that, the revival of withered tree worked continuously to heal and eradicate the remaining effects of the curse's backlash. If I can use the pearl and the ability to heal myself, why not go all out? However, after looking at the materials he had left, he brushed the thought aside. At least 300 spirit stones were needed for each attempt. If he continued casting the curse, it would take several thousand spirit stones. It was quite expensive for him. He wondered how many spirit stones it would have cost Gui to curse the dragon. Jiang Hao sighed and opened his interface. 25. Well, it's already mid-January. There are still about 6 months until the challenge between Bai Yi and Manlong. Jiang Hao felt that his current level of power was not enough. He needed to save some money and try again. As for the peach tree, he would have to wait another year for its incarnation. This time he would need around 20,000 spirit stones. It was close to impossible to save up that many spirit stones. Obtaining one more divine ability would not make any difference unless he became stronger. The 10 Foundation Establishment realm pills he had bought were all fake. She had cheated him off of spirit stones. Chapter 263, The Demoness looked displeased. It was mid-June. In the 100 Flowers Lake, a graceful figure sat by a stone table in a pavilion. She gazed at the flowers. Rain drizzled from the sky, and the flowers gently swayed as if welcoming the rain. At this moment, a white figure descended on the pavilion. "Sect Master," said Baiji in greeting. "Speak." Hong Yuye didn't turn around. "The people from the Divine Corpse sect have arrived in the Hidden Cloud Prefecture and have made contact with us," Baiji reported. "Are they here to save someone?" Hong Yuye asked as she picked up her teacup. "No. They say they've come for the Corpse Realm flowers," said Baiji. "They said that when the Corpse Realm flower blooms, approximately 48 people can enter the open realm. They want to occupy 24 spots inside. As for the price, they're willing to negotiate freely with us. They also made it clear that they aren't our enemies. They said they wouldn't seize the flowers by force. They apologize for Zhuang Yuzhen's mistake, and they are willing to shoulder some of the responsibility. As for releasing the captives, that's up to us." "Are they trustworthy?" Hong Yuye as she sipped her tea. "It seems likely. However, we need to be cautious. Their sect's strength far surpasses ours. If a war breaks out, both sides will suffer heavy losses. Before coming here, they also visited the Black Heaven sect, the Sunset Immortal sect, the Wind Lightning sect, and Azure Mountain. They haven't visited any demonic sects," said Baiji. "There's a possibility that they want to unite the people in the vicinity to deal with us. Or they might just use it as a threat to force us to agree to their proposal. With a major sect like the Divine Corpse sect leading the way, the others might be tempted to follow. After all, they had all suffered at the hands of the Heavenly Note sect. Azure Mountain was especially eager to fight against the Heavenly Note sect because they had suffered a heavy blow. However, sects like the Black Heaven sect have their own matters to attend to. They might not have enough troops to spare. Otherwise, they would have already joined forces to attack and subdue the Heavenly Note sect. If the Divine Corpse sect wants to come here, then let them come. Keep an eye on them, And if there's any unusual activity, detain them all, Hong Yuya said calmly. Yes. Baiji nodded. She felt that as long as the sect master was here, the Heavenly Note sect would never fall. Is there anything else? Hong Yuya asked. Zhuang Yuzhen has been acting crazy. Jiang Hao may have found some leverage over him. Perhaps it's the people behind Jiang Hao who are helping him. With regard to Zhuang Yuzhen, Jiang Hao needed to visit him in person to uncover more information. Besides him, Zhuang Yuzhen never talked to anyone else. Jiang Hao hasn't visited the prisoner in so long. I can only suspect that he is afraid to go. Perhaps he has no more leverage against him. So we have no choice but to keep him hanging. He had some connection with the Divine Corpse sect. I suspect a clone from the Divine Corpse sect approached Jiang Hao. The Divine Corpse was killed. The Law Enforcement Hall is trying to investigate the matter, but it's proving difficult. Jiang Hao also had some conflicts with a highly talented disciple. We still have no information about the person we suspect is behind Jiang Hao. We can only wait for something to happen and then continue the investigation. Baiji hadn't pursued the matter further. There was no need. As long as they monitored the corpse realm flowers, everything should be okay. After all, their goal had always been to lure out traitors. There's information that someone from Azure Mountain contacted people from overseas, but it's still not clear. It'll take some time to investigate, said Baiji. Based on recent information, it seems that a group of people has entered the southern region, possibly for the Heavenly Fate Misfortune Pearl. It might mean that the Misfortune Pearl is no longer in the Devil's Denver. Don't worry. Just assume that the pearl is still in Devil's Den and do your own thing, said Hong Yuya. Baiji realized that the sect master had it all under control. She just needed to follow the instructions. Let the people from the Divine Corpse sect send their information about the Corpse Realm Flower. Allow 2 disciples from each branch to enter, said Hong Yuya. Baiji nodded. She needed to make some arrangements. Cliff of Broken Hearts. In the courtyard, Jiang Hao stopped his curse. For half a year he earned spirit stones for a month and cursed Baiji. His body was suffering severe side effects. If it weren't for the Heavenly Fate Misfortune Pearl, the impact of the curse would have been dangerous. He didn't believe that Baiji was unharmed at this point. He had also accumulated a large amount of cultivation. In the next 3 months he would be able to reach the late stage of the primordial spirit realm. During this period, everything was quiet. Baiji was busy with his preparations. The pavilion master of the Heavenly Joy Pavilion had already snatched his resources away, so he could only imagine they were satisfied for now. The people from the Heavenly Joy Pavilion were probably still waiting for the right opportunity to attack him. The disciples from the Sunset Immortal sect couldn't enter the Heavenly Note sect. The people from the Heavenly Saint sect seemed to have disappeared. Even Ming-Yi hadn't come to see him for a long time. The only troublesome thing was the outer sect's spirit herb garden. Recently, Ning Xian visited the garden and told him not to be the last one to come up with a solution. Jiang Hao was worried. Fortunately, there was still plenty of time. For now, he wanted to devote his full focus on Baiji. Next month is the day of the challenge. By then I'll know how effective the curse is. Jiang Hao breathed a sigh of relief. He needed to continue earning more spirit stones. In the past 6 months he hadn't seen Leng Tian or Dan Yuan. He was only able to sell some talismans. If a major battle occurred, the talismans would sell quickly. He wanted to find out how Baiji was after he cast the curse, so he often went to find Lu Xingqian to find out more. Unfortunately, Lu Xingqian was busy and wasn't able to meet him. It seemed any remnant soul that was in the mines was terrified of Lu Xingqian. The remnant of the dragon and the sorcerer were still waiting to band together with another soul and attack Lu Xingqian. In the evening, the spirit beast approached him. Master, I'm going to find Lin Ji. I feel that he has made great progress lately. He can now avoid being hit in his vital points, said the beast. The spirit beast had practically raised Lin Ji and Chu Chuan alone. They were young when they arrived at the sect. 3 years had passed, and the spirit beast had constantly been by their side. Jiang Hao nodded and let it go. He decided to go and observe them. He had to make sure the spirit beast wasn't being a bad influence on them. Just as he walked into the courtyard, he saw a figure in red. She frowned when she saw Jiang Hao, and a dangerous aura swept over him. Chapter 264. You only care about me when it comes to bathing. Jiang Hao knew he was in trouble. However, he didn't know what he had done to offend her. She attacked him as soon as they met. Hong Yuya stood in the courtyard. Her aura was terrifying. "You seem to enjoy these unlucky things," she said as her cold gaze fixed on him. Unlucky. Jiang Hao understood that she was referring to the curse on his body. Hong Yuya didn't like unlucky magic. Whether it was the ancient tomb or the heavenly fate misfortune pearl, she had made it clear that she disliked such ominous things. "Senior?" Jiang Hao wanted to explain, but the terrifying aura had already surged forward. With a loud bang he was sent flying backward. Jiang Hao thought he would crash into a wall, but there was nothing behind him. He went flying and landed in the river instead. He wanted to get out of the river, but he couldn't move his body. The river water washed over him. He was never afraid of drowning, but he was suffocating right now. After a short while he regained control of his body. He struggled out of the river and lay on the ground. He let out a heavy sigh of relief. He then used his magic to dry his clothes. When he headed to the courtyard, he realized that he felt much lighter than before. He was surprised to find that all the curses and side effects had disappeared from his body. "Thank you, Senior." Hong Yuya was sitting under the tree in the courtyard. "Thanking me, huh?" Hong Yuya smiled. "Should I take your arm or your leg in exchange? Or should I put it on your tab?" Jiang Hao was speechless. It's better not to respond. He felt that she might attack him. "If I see such an unlucky thing next time, would you be willing to give up your arm or your leg?" asked Hong Yuya. "This was just an accident," Jiang Hao explained. Hong Yuya chuckled. She sat on the wooden chair and told Jiang Hao to prepare some tea. After a while, Jiang Hao placed the tea in front of Hong Yuya and then sat down to talk about the previous gathering. He started with the discussion they had had about cultivation at the gathering. Then he talked about the heavenly fate misfortune pearl and the 7 stars technique invented by Dan Yuan. He then handed his book to Hong Yuya. He had already appraised the book but found nothing amiss. After a while, Hong Yuya finished reading the book about the 7 stars technique. If he created this, he does seem to be powerful. However, it will have no effect on the heavenly fate misfortune pearl after it erupts. It could seal the pearl in its current state for a few hours, but that's about it. Jiang Hao nodded. Compared to the universe in a palm technique, the 7-star sealing technique fell short by a lot. However, sealing it for a few hours would be enough for the other cultivators to reach him. "Go on," Hong Yuya said, lifting her teacup. "Dan Yuan gave me detailed information on why the Great Thousand God sect was in the Hidden Cloud Prefecture." Jiang Hao explained it to her in detail. Hong Yuya glanced at the paper on the table and listened as Jiang Hao recounted the information. "The end of all things?" she asked. "Yes. But I don't know who or what it means. I've asked the other members of the gathering to investigate it further," Jiang Hao said. "Oh." Hong Yuya sounded intrigued. "You seem to have a talent for undercover work." "It's all thanks to your blessings, Senior," Jiang Hao said humbly. "Go on," Hong Yuya said. Then he talked about the shifting stars technique and Dan Yuan's explanation of it. Hong Yuya remained silent. Jiang Hao continued with his report of the changes overseas and the purpose of the Divine Corpse sect in the southern region. Hong Yuya listened calmly. Jiang Hao felt a bit regretful. There were so many things he knew but couldn't mention at the gathering. However, that wasn't necessary right now. "Have their identities been confirmed?" Hong Yuya asked. "No." Jiang Hao shook his head. He hadn't been able to confirm anyone's identity at the gathering yet. He didn't even know for sure if Dan Yuan had contacted Zhuang Yuzhen personally. Right now, Jiang Hao had the corpse heart as leverage. Perhaps that would make the captive more willing to talk. Jiang Hao didn't want to reveal the corpse heart just yet. When people didn't have much hope left, they sometimes resorted to extremes. To lure prey into a trap, they needed to be shown the hope of escape. "You just mentioned that the Bright Moon sect has started sending invitations?" Hong Yuya looked at Jiang Hao. "Aren't you going to go there to take a look?" Jiang Hao shook his head. He had no intention of going there. It was too dangerous. "Do you really want to stay in the Heavenly Note sect forever?" Hong Yuya asked. "I can take care of your flower here, Senior." "You can take my flower and tree along," she said. Jiang Hao was at a loss for words. He couldn't tell her that he was afraid to go. The Heavenly Note sect was smaller than the Bright Moon sect. There were so many people who coveted the Heavenly Fragrance Dao flower. If they attacked him, he couldn't protect himself or the flower. It was better to stop where he was. He could stay here and cultivate beside the flower. Since the flower was important to the sect, he got some sort of protection for taking care of it too. Elder Baiji was always there to help if something happened. If he went to the Bright Moon sect, he would be hypervigilant and concerned about his well-being and the flower. He would be safer if he didn't take the heavenly fragrance Dao flower with him, but that would mean Hong Yuya would be angry at him. He wasn't safe from her anywhere. He had never visited another sect outside the Heavenly Note sect before. Hong Yuya didn't say anything more. She finished drinking her tea and walked inside the house. Once in the hall, she went to the bathroom. She saw the new bathtub. It seems you're quite competent at getting things done. She turned to look at him. You flatter me, senior, Jiang Hao said. It's a pity you only care about me when it comes to bathing, and you're full of lies and your benefits are all based on luck, Hong Yuya said with an ambiguous smile. Jiang Hao was momentarily speechless. Chapter 265. I suspect someone from the Cliff of Broken Hearts cursed me. Jiang Hao didn't think Hong Yuya was entirely right about that. Although he had relied on his luck in the beginning, he had worked hard to get where he was. The undercover work was also difficult. If he hadn't encountered that dragon in the village, he wouldn't have been able to establish his footing in the gathering. He also had to handle the troubles within the Heavenly Note sect. Jiang Hao didn't explain all this. Senior, you jest, he said. Hong Yuya left the bathroom and went to the balcony on the second floor. How long have you been carrying the Heavenly Fate Misfortune Pearl? She asked. Jiang Hao thought for a moment. 2 years. Then it should be soon. Hong Yuya stood on the balcony, her clothes fluttering in the wind. She turned and looked at Jiang Hao. During this time, it's best if you don't leave the Heavenly Fate Misfortune Pearl elsewhere. Don't lose it. If someone finds it and uses it, you'll also suffer the backlash. Her figure faded away. By the way, you can try to spread rumors of the pearl being within the Heavenly Note sect. That way the people who are targeting you will flee the sect overnight. Wouldn't that attract the people who seek the pearl? Those who targeted him were at most in the Golden Core realm, with some in the Primordial Spirit realm. However, those seeking the Heavenly Fate Misfortune Pearl would be beyond those cultivation realms. He simply didn't have time. He needed to get stronger. He decided to ignore Hong Yuya's suggestion. Remember to take care of my flower. If you escape to another place without taking my flower and tree with you, you will bear the consequences. With that, Hong Yuya disappeared completely. Jiang Hao felt a gentle breeze and a faint fragrance as she faded away. He always recognized her fragrance. Jiang Hao didn't know if the Heaven Extinction Goo poison made him more perceptive of her. He checked his body again and found out that the curse's backlash had disappeared. Such a simple move removed all the backlash. I don't think I'll be able to endure the backlash if I try to curse an expert. Cursing techniques were powerful, but the backlash was too severe. Once affected by the curse, it was very difficult to remove it. As Hong Yuya had warned him, using it often wouldn't be good. Using it once or twice should be fine. The revival of Withered Tree can easily dispel the backlash after all. He had used the curse too many times. Even with the revival of Withered Tree ability, it would have taken him a year or more to get rid of the side effects. If it weren't for the Heavenly Fate Misfortune Pearl, it might have taken him even longer. He wouldn't have been able to cultivate. As someone in the middle stage of the Primordial Spirit realm, he couldn't bear to carry on such curses. It would be even more difficult for Bai Yi to get rid of it. He would probably lose to Man Long. As for the rest, he would have to wait and see. At the 100 Bones Forest, a man coughed up blood and doubled over. He was sitting among numerous spirit herbs at the moment. There were numerous arrays, talismans, and treasures surrounding him. However, each one was shrouded in black energy and turned out to be useless. His cultivation was on the verge of collapse. Senior brother, are you all right? Lian Qin asked. I'm fine. Just small damage to my cultivation, nothing more, said the man as he raised his hand to stop her. Who could be cursing you in this manner, senior brother? Lian Qin was astonished. At first, they thought it was just a single curse that could be countered with treasure. However, the curse became overwhelming. It was affecting his preparations for the upcoming challenge. Even maintaining his cultivation took enormous effort. They had tried purchasing various purification treasures for the curse, but they only provided temporary relief. It seemed that the one who was casting the curse was determined to go all out. Is it because you challenged Man Long to a fight? Asked Lian Qin. Did Man Long do this to maintain his title so that you couldn't win? Don't assume things without proof. It can't be Man Long, said Bai Yi. Have I provoked anyone lately? Where has the 100 Bones forest delivered spirit herbs? He asked. The cliff of broken hearts, the candlelight pavilion, the flowing waterfall. The ones who accepted the spirit herbs, are they still in the sect? The people from the flowing waterfall are currently away. The two from Candlelight Pill Pavilion are still refining pills. The one from the cliff of broken hearts is here in the sect. Do you suspect anyone? I think the one from the cliff of broken hearts is the most suspicious. He is in the late stage of foundation establishment realm, but my techniques have no effect on him. He has always found solutions to unravel my techniques. He isn't my match, but I do think he will stop at nothing to get back at me. Lian Qin was puzzled. How can you be so sure he is behind this? Bai Yi shook his head slightly. Just a hunch. What do we do? Lian Qin asked in concern. Don't worry about him for now. I have to become one of the top 10 disciples first. It will be difficult, but I still have to give it a try. As for the curse, I have a pill that can temporarily suppress it and stabilize my cultivation. After the challenge is over, I'll pay a visit to the Cliff of Broken Hearts. I want to confirm if he's really behind this. Doesn't that pill have significant side effects? Lian Qin asked. There is a possibility of falling back to the middle stage of the primordial spirit realm, but this is necessary. The curse continues to torment me, and it will make me fall back to the middle stage eventually. If I succeed, the curse won't be a problem anymore. 1 month later, around mid-July, Jiang Hao used the 7-star sealing technique on the spirit beast in the courtyard. The spirit beast was unable to escape from the circle, no matter how much it tried. The stars on the seal could even be used for attacks. This sealing technique was indeed impressive. Unlike the universe in a palm, the 7-star sealing technique could be set up while in combat. The 7 stars connected to form the seal. It was very practical. Dan Yuan was truly gifted. Senior brother Jiang, are you free? I need to talk to you, said Han Ming. Jiang Hao was surprised. Today was the day Bai Yi and Man Long would challenge each other. Everyone was eager to watch them. He was also planning to head there. He hadn't expected Han Ming to visit him today. Chapter 266, Beat Him Up. It was early morning. The gentle sunlight illuminated the courtyard as Jiang Hao arrived at the gate. A young man there. He looked more mature than his age implied. Ming had already turned 24. Jiang Hao had first met him when he was only 18. More than 5 years had passed since then. His cultivation and his personality had both developed quite rapidly. A true disciple at the late stage of the foundation establishment realm at only 24 years of age was an extraordinary feat. It had given the Cliff of Broken Hearts quite a reputation. Unlike Jiang Hao, who supposedly reached the late stage of the foundation establishment realm with the help of external treasures and assistance, Han Ming had done it on his own. He made a name for himself through countless battles. Junior brother Han, it's been so long since I last saw you. I wanted to thank you for everything you did for me, said Jiang Hao. Han Ming had taken on challenges that had been meant for Jiang Hao. Jiang Hao had intended to visit him to thank him, but he had been caught up with curses and such. Having just advanced to the late stage of the foundation establishment realm, it was only natural that he needed time to refine his cultivation. It seemed that he was done refining it. Senior brother Jiang, I have also reached the late stage of the foundation establishment realm like you, said Han Ming. Therefore, I've come here today to challenge you. A challenge? Jiang Hao wasn't surprised. Junior brother Han, would you like to challenge me right now, or should we set a date? Do you have time now? Han Ming was surprised. In truth, Han Ming wanted to choose another day. However, if Jiang Hao said he had time right now, he couldn't back out. I have time. Jiang Hao nodded. Then, senior brother Jiang, are you prepared? Unlike you, I have taken on challenges and fought many people. I have gained a lot of combat experience. You should be careful. I'm not the same as before. I would never underestimate you, junior brother Han. You have exceptional talent. Shortly after, the two stood by the river. One held a sword, while the other gripped his saber. As they faced each other, their auras disrupted the gentle breeze. At this moment, Jiang Hao could see that Han Ming's aura was stable, but beneath that stability, there was an underlying surge. His power was ready to erupt at any moment. Sure enough, as Han Ming made his move, his aura surged and exploded. His sword was unsheathed, and he rushed forward like lightning. Jiang Hao swung his saber. Clang. He wanted to fight Han Ming as an equal opponent. He had earned that. So he used the first form of the heavenly blade, moonslaying. He swung his saber again. Han Ming couldn't withstand it. On the third strike, Han Ming's sword flew into the air and impaled itself on the ground. Jiang Hao's saber was resting on Han Ming's neck. "Junior brother Han, you have my respect. You have become so much stronger." Jiang Hao retracted the knife and sheathed it. Han Ming stared at Jiang Hao and then picked up his sword. "I only lag behind you slightly. Once I refine my cultivation even more, I will come back to challenge you again. I hope you don't mind." After saying that, he turned and left. Jiang Hao smiled. He would perhaps extend the fight to 5 strikes next time. That way he could acknowledge Han Ming's efforts and his talent. Defeating Han Ming constantly wouldn't attract unwanted attention. There was always a chance for that after all. Jiang Hao quickly made his way to the challenge that was supposed to happen today. The place wasn't familiar to Jiang Hao. He wondered if it was Bai Ye's residence. At the 100 Bones Forest, he could already see that so many people had already gathered. The challenge to win the title of a top disciple had attracted considerable attention. "Junior brother Jiang, it's been so long since I last saw you." Lu Xingqian approached him. "Senior brother Lu, hello. Are you also here to watch the contest?" "Of course. I want to see how strong a top disciple is." Lu Xingqian smiled. Jiang Hao nodded. He noticed a faint dark red aura around Lu Xingqian. It was different from the aura of the remnant soul of the true dragon and the sorcerer. Did he already find the third remnant? He didn't rush to find out. He wanted to watch the fight first. It wasn't surprising. The mines were strange. It was rumored to be an ancient battlefield. So it wasn't as surprising to think that stray remnant souls could be residing there. Another place was the Devil's Den, but the mines were relatively safer. A short while later, the two arrived outside the valley. The arena was inside. No one went near it. The fight between two disciples at the late stage of the primordial spirit realm was bound to be impactful. Nobody ventured near the arena. Jiang Hao observed the surroundings. The most important thing right now was to find out where Bai Yi lived. Hong Yuye had warned him, so he couldn't continue with the curse. Knowing where the enemy lived would turn out to be handy. In 2 months he might be able to advance to the late stage of the primordial spirit realm. He would then come to find Bai Yi. However, if Bai Yi became one of the top 10 disciples, things would get complicated. "When does the fight begin?" he asked. "It's hard to say. There is no set time. It depends on when Manlong arrives," said Lu Xingqian. Jiang Hao nodded. "By the way, I heard that people from the Divine Corpse sect are visiting our sect. It seems they want to cooperate with us," Lu Xingqian said. "The Divine Corpse sect wants to cooperate with us?" Jiang Hao looked surprised. Zhuang Yuzhen, one of their teachers, was still imprisoned in the Heavenly Note sect, and yet they wanted to cooperate. It could mean that they had something else planned. What were they seeking in the sect? "I heard it's related to the Corpse Realm flowers," Lu Xingqian said. Jiang Hao nodded. It made sense. The Corpse Realm flowers could open a special passage to an unknown realm. The people from the Divine Corpse sect might be planning to enter that realm, so they wanted to cooperate to get the flowers back. The Heavenly Note sect couldn't refuse their proposal. Their sect's power was formidable after all. Fighting would be detrimental to everyone. In any case, as a member involved in interrogating Zhuang Yuzhen, he should maintain a low profile and avoid attracting their attention. They waited for some time. The crowd grew larger. He saw some familiar faces in the throng of people. Ning Xian was also in the audience. At that moment, a tall man stood on slightly elevated ground in the valley. He appeared to be at the late stage of the primordial spirit realm. But in Jiang Hao's eyes, his cultivation had been forcibly improved and consolidated through the use of some pills. The person bore traces of a curse, and his aura fluctuated unpredictably. Jiang Hao knew the moment he saw Bai Yi that his curse was successful. Bai Yi's cultivation was not only affected but was also regressing to some extent. This curse, which caused self-damage but inflicted greater harm on the enemy, was indeed effective. If it weren't for Hong Yuye's intervention, he would have been tormented by the curse himself. Bai Yi would likely continue to suffer for a long time. Boom. Suddenly, a figure descended from the sky. Manlong appeared in front of Bai Yi. People cheered for him. Senior brother Manlong beat him up. No one is a match against senior brother Manlong. I heard that senior brother Bai Yi is a cross-level cultivator. He can't possibly win. Jiang Hao observed Manlong. He noticed that his spiritual energy was vast, and his aura continued to surge. He practically shone with vitality. In comparison, Bai Yi seemed somewhat insignificant. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.